For everybody's time. Good evening, everyone. December 18th, 4:03. Going to call the meeting to order. First order is to approve the minutes from last meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Mark, thank you. Second,
Second,
thank you. Any comments, suggestions, corrections?
I provided some of them, so much she incorporated.
Okay.
Very minor.
Okay, do we need to review?
Yeah, I think
No.
it's grammatical.
All right. Oh, okay. All right. Minutes are approved. Is there any unfinished business? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to Chairman's report. So, Chairman's report. One thing that I want to discuss that was brought up last meeting is the survey that Milena sent out regarding a schedule for 2025. And I wanted to report out what the results were, and we could have further discussion. So I think you sent the survey results out to everyone. Just to me? Okay, great. So Milena can send the survey results out there, everyone. I apologize. But let me at least give you those verbally. In terms of the question around frequency of meeting, sidewalk. Before we get started, 9 out of 15 participants replied. So that's 60% of the respondents replied. Now, in terms of frequency of meetings, do you feel the current monthly frequency of meetings is appropriate? Okay, 44% said, no, I prefer fewer meetings. 56% said, yes, monthly meetings are needed. Any questions regarding that particular survey question? Comments? The next question, seeing none, the next question was the preferred day and time. That came out as unanimous, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Take that back. We have one anonymous respondent that said that we should discuss that in the open executive meeting. And we can have that discussion. But it was Wednesday at 4 p.m. in terms of the current day and time. Summer versus winter schedules. Okay, the question was, would you like to modify the meeting schedule during the summer or winter months? In terms of breakout, 5 respondents said, a total of 9 replied, okay? 5 respondents with 1 less meeting in the summer, and 4 respondents of the 9 preferred to have same amount of meetings. So 60% of the total respondents, 5 would like to have 1 less meeting in the summer. In terms of less winter meetings, 8 out of 15 responded as a 53%. So would like to have 1 less meeting or less meetings in the winter. And if the meeting, the last question, if the meetings were held less frequently, what schedule would you prefer? 5 out of 19 responded, or 20% said bi-monthly. So those are the results of the surveys. Again, Milena can send those out. Let's open it up in terms of comments, conversation, suggestions. Any?
Yes, I got a question. So for each question, are we just going with the majority vote or?
So we can have that discussion. So
Okay.
we can address, go ahead.
It appears there's a little conflict there.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Up front, it said everybody the majority was keep the same, but
Yeah.
then we had a majority of
In the
less
end,
in the winter and less in the summer.
but the question was, if we went to a reduced schedule, what should it be? And the majority said bi-monthly. So there was an if there, so.
Well, 26% said bi-monthly. 5 out of the 19,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
set bi-monthly. So, we,
Robert, I have a thought.
yes,
Seems to me with the controversy that continues to persist, that we have the responsibility both to ourselves and to the airport to have monthly meetings. I think we need to have the appearance that we think it's important enough for a board to review and discuss issues on a monthly basis. And I think for ourselves, we need to be comfortable that we're participating in it the way we should. So I would really advocate very strongly that we retain the monthly meeting schedule.
I agree with your comments.
all right. So we can call a vote if there's any further discussion on keeping the monthly cadence for the year monthly for 2025 for board meetings. Any further discussion on that point? Is there a motion to move for 2025 to keep the current board regular scheduled meetings monthly?
So moved.
Second.
Motion moved with by Mark, seconded by Linda. So with all 1 second, and sorry, Mike. So I call for the full vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Wait. Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none. That passes. So we will keep the 2025 board schedule and monthly meetings beginning at 4 o'clock Wednesdays,
Third Wednesday.
third Wednesday.
Keep the same
Okay,
dates.
the same cadence as we currently have. Okay, so thank you for doing that, Helena. Okay, executive director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to go over the action items from the previous meeting. Milena sent the board members the PFC amendment. She also sent a copy of the CIP presentation. The Gantt chart that Mark had requested, we just provided to him. Also, Milena sent the board members the presentation that Jeremy had given. And Tom will be addressing the item on the FEMA restrictions as relates to noise mitigation efforts. And our attorney, Hugh Mankey, is here with us today to give us a brief on the EA appeal update.
Thanks, Tom. Let me go back to the starting point, which was that federal law requires that we do an environmental assessment for a major capital improvement at an airport such as ours. And a couple of years ago, we agreed to hire McFarland to do the study. It took them about 1.5 years to do the study. It cost well over $1 million. It was closer to $1.2 million. And after all of that, the FAA received public comments. They revised the reports in order to respond to the public comments, and finally came up with a final decision. And the final decision was that there was no significant impact that the two major projects, namely the East Terminal and the runway extension, would have on the environment. That decision was appealed to the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C., which is the court that hears almost all federal administrative appeals. And the petition was filed by Save the Sound, an environmental group in the New Haven area, and also the town of East Haven. So they are the petitioners. The respondent in this case is the Federal Aviation Administration. And the FAA is represented by the Department of Justice. The Tweed New Haven Airport Authority and Avports both have very significant interests in this litigation, as you can imagine. even though we're not the petitioners, we're not the respondents. But clearly, we deserve to be involved in the case, and the federal court agreed with that. And so the authority and Avports are both interveners in the case. The first step was for the petitioners to file a brief laying out what they are considering their main issues, and they've done that. It was done earlier last month, and we now are waiting for the Department of Justice to file a reply brief. So they get the first crack at it at the Department of Justice, and that is probably going to be completed. I would imagine it'll be next January, late January or early February. We think there may be an extension of time filed, a request for an extension of time filed, and that it probably would be granted by the court. And so then after that, we've got interveners filing their briefs in reply to the petitioner's brief. And we will expect to do that in probably next March. At that point, there will be a responsive brief from the petitioners, and then there'll be some other minor pleadings that take place. But the case should pretty much be closed by next summer. Then there'll be very brief oral argument, and the case will be left in the hands of the judges to determine whether or not the appeal should be sustained. And we're quite optimistic that the appeal will not be sustained. We think there was incredible effort made to deal with all of the environmental issues. We certainly spent a lot of time and a lot of money on this and had very, very good experts. And we responded to all of the questions that came from the neighbors. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of comments that were filed with the FAA as part of this procedure, and they were all responded to. So we think that the authority and Avports, as well as the FAA, should succeed in this case, but we won't probably have a decision until
About a year from now, right?
probably, well, I would think the outside would be a year from now.
Okay. Thank you, and that concludes the action items. As far as my report goes, conduit financing on tonight's agenda. There's a resolution to approve an agreement for phase one services with McCarter in English. Includes kickoff meetings, review and comment on the inducement article confirming the authority's ability to act as conduit issuer, and a handful of other items. So it's to get the process started on the conduit financing. We held an environmental stewardship committee meeting yesterday. The items addressed there were the noise website update, the sound insulation. Next phase update, virus suite meeting recap, traffic calming update, the Revo hydrogen charging station project, and the voluntary airport low emissions and ZEV grants for electric shuttle buses. On economic impact analysis, we continue to work with the consultants. However, they've not been able to obtain certain data. So we're working with them to try to complete their study. On the DEEP application, previously DEEP had determined that they had sole jurisdiction over wetlands, and we've learned that the town of East Haven has disputed this determination. We're monitoring this matter, but believe the initial decision by DEEP is correct. And the statistics that are in your packet for September, you'll see that there was a 19% increase over last September. Year to date, the claimants are up 13%, and through September 24, 12-month period, we had a total of 542,441 in claimants. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Finance Committee report, Serena on the line.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Chair,
Serena.
Rich has a question, actually.
Thank you. This is actually a question for Hugh.
Oh,
And-
I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. And Hugh may have answered this, and I apologize if I missed it, but is the petition or the appeal being heard at the circuit court level or appeals court? And is there depending on the outcome of the court case, is there a possibility of further appeal beyond that level? Thanks.
The appeal is to the District of Columbia Circuit Court of Appeals. And so there's always the opportunity for an appeal to the US Supreme Court. But on an administrative issue, it would be very unlikely that there would be an issue that could be appealed to the US Supreme Court. But things are in flux in the federal court system, and so you can't rule anything out here, but there is an appeal option at the end of the day when the circuit court renders its decision.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Had an opportunity to review the financials, and Tom will report.
Thank you, Serena.
Thank you, Serena. On the airfield account, the revenues for October, excluding lessee subsidy of $186,746, came in $3,074 better than budget, and the actual subsidy was under budget by $106,712 for the month. Year-to-date revenues in the airfield account, excluding the $694,855 subsidy, were $240,084 better than budget by $89,733. The expenses in the airfield for October came in under budget by $97,637, and year-to-date expenses are below budget by $389,244. On the admin account, revenues for October were below budget by $33,099. Year-to-date actual revenues of $226,540 are below budget by $127,959. On the expense side in the admin account, for the month, they were $49,312 under budget. Year-to-date actual expenses under budget by $192,778. And the actual net results for the admin fund for October were positive $1,327.38. And year-to-date, they're up $13,472. On the balance sheet, the fund balance at the end of this period was $442,314. And overall liabilities and fund balance are $990,369. That includes the financial report.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Serena. Airport manager's report. Are any questions? Excuse me, before you move on, any questions? Great, seeing none. Airport manager's report, Jeremy?
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Start on the airside report. Just a few items. We've been flirting with some winter weather over the last several days. We've had some de-icing of aircraft in the morning, but no significant impact to operations. But like reported before, we're ready to dance with the snow here whenever that decides to show up. And then just a few other capital, just on the capital side for the air side. We're continuing to working with our consultants and design group for the ARP station expansion project and our snow removal equipment storage building, SRE storage building. So we're working diligently towards getting those projects off the ground here. And it's really all I have to report. Well, I guess the one last item I would just want to touch on. I know drones have been a big topic in the news, so I'll just touch on that very quickly. Drones here at the airport, they're a regular focus here for our team. We've been working. We work regularly with a task force consisting of federal, state, and local agencies that assist us in drone detection. They regularly deploy mobile drone detection systems here at the airport, and we have a really close working relationship with them. If we have a drone sighting or these systems detect drones, these agencies go out and actually make contact with the drone operators when they're able to. And a lot of times it's more of an educational opportunity where people just don't understand what the regulations are. But we've just taken this opportunity for, since it's in the news, just to kind of refocus on, training for our team, what our responses are and reopening up. We actually just had a whole group meeting here at the airport actually before, the events were in the news, but it's just something that we're regularly monitoring and working with on a regular basis. So we'll continue to do that moving forward.
Great, thank you, Jeremy. Any questions for Jeremy? Questions? All right, seeing none, we continue on the Lisi report.
Sure. Last time we met, we were preparing for Breeze startup. We did hold our ORAD, our operational readiness exercise, on December 4th. And we had really strong support from our air carrier partners with Breeze, from their corporate leadership and their training teams. And then real grassroots support from, the majority of our tenants. And that includes TSA, Air Traffic Control, GCafe, Last Parking, and our Avports team. And it was a good opportunity to start to build those relationships that we're going to rely on every day moving forward. And just to recap, it was really just a focus on making sure that day of operations were ready and identifying any issues that may be apparent. So it's really focusing on the passenger journey from when they get dropped to the curb, they go out to the aircraft, and when they arrive. And we actually did identify a few technical type of items that needed to be tweaked. But overall, we all felt like we were in a good place. And I think that proved to be true on December 10th, when Breeze launched their first flight. And it's been a very rewarding experience. I think we couldn't ask for a better result. We've learned a lot. We've grown a lot together. We've been able to answer some questions on how to do things better. But overall, it's been a very positive experience. And appreciate all the support from this board as well as our partners here at the airport. And just to recap, on the air service side, a lot of announcements recently in the last couple of weeks. So Avelo on December 9th announced 4 new routes to Jacksonville, Florida, which starts on February 14th. We have Dallas, Texas, March 7th. Then we have Detroit, Michigan, April 4th, and then Portland, Maine, May 22nd. So some new routes that we're happy about that here. We do actually do training in Dallas, so maybe we'll be able to utilize those routes to send our ARF team out there on occasion. And then similarly, Breeze made announcements back in August. But just to recap, actually, this was the largest opening on record for Breeze to date on number of locations that they've started at one time, which I thought was very interesting. And I think that shows a level of commitment that air carriers have to this airport, as well as the potential here. So those routes starting in December, Breeze started out Fort Myers, Orlando, West Palm, and Vero Beach. And then in February, they roll out Charleston, Jacksonville, Norfolk, Raleigh-Durham, Richmond, and Sarasota. So that's 10 destinations within 2 months added to our, not all unique. Some of them are crossover to some service we already have, but it's just speaks to what we're doing here at Tweed, and it's exciting to see and to be a part of. And as we we're more than halfway into December, but on December 1st, we actually set a new record for total departing passengers here at Tweed that was exceeding 3,000 enplanements. So that's 6,000 people all in one day going in and coming out of Tweed, which is remarkable. In this next week, leading up to the Christmas holiday, we're forecasting a 60% increase in total passenger traffic compared to 23 over last year. So this for the same week. And as part of that, we're I mean, I hate to say it, but it's kind of becoming business as usual. But you know, you can see out here, I mean, the volume of people that we're putting through here is really it's really remarkable. And just for anyone, you know, either in the public, if you are expecting to be flying out of Tweed, do make your, I would doubt there's any parking reservations left, but if there are, December 20th through the 25th, we're expecting to be at capacity. So if there are no reservations, I would strongly recommend you either find another means for getting to the airport, either by a family member or a friend, and or you know, use public transportation or a ride share. So
How many spots do we have?
say it's around 11. About, I think it's about 1,100. Give or take. Give me a little leeway there. but
That's okay.
I think it's
No, I was
about
just
1,100.
curious.
Yeah.
Ballpark is fine.
Let's see here. Last month, identified a few other projects that we're working on to increase or improve the passenger experience. You know, as I reported, we knocked out a lot of projects last month, but a few that are still on the table we're installing an awning at the ticketing trailer, automatic sliding doors. We recently installed the mother's room at gate 2, which was a nice addition. And then we're also looking at adding an awning to the exit side of the breezeway out on this curb, on the arrivals curb. Just because what we're seeing is actually the queue lines for the checkpoint are extending all the way down the breezeway out the door. So that's something we haven't experienced before, but you know, trying to find ways to provide some additional cover from the elements for the passengers. And then finally, another, you know, we just did a fairly thorough replacement of the majority of our digital signage throughout the terminal for improved wayfinding and advertising opportunities. With that concludes my report.
Great, thank you, Jeremy. Any questions for Jeremy? Any questions for Jeremy?
So I'll hand it over to Tom. if
Right,
that's okay.
yeah.
All right,
Tom?
thanks, Mr. Chairman, and nice to see everyone. We had another full month of community meetings, partnerships, and outreach. On community partnerships, just following our last board meeting, the AvPorts team teamed up with Connecticut Food Share at the Community Soup Kitchen of New Haven for our annual holiday partnership. So a group of about a dozen team members spent the morning serving meals to those in need, which was not just a meaningful way to give back, but also an important opportunity to raise awareness about food insecurity in our community and across the state. And in line with our continued focus on food insecurity, we are proud to join City Seed as a sponsor of their Farmers Market program. These markets connect local residents with over 50 vendors from across the state, and their work not just on these markets, but in promoting sustainable agriculture and food entrepreneurship is truly incredible. And so we're very glad to support them in their efforts. We also participated in Hockey Night in New Haven, a remarkable event attended by over 400 people who gathered to support the New Haven Police Athletic League and youth hockey programming. It was a great display of community spirit and support for local youth initiatives. And so thanks to Sal DeCola, Elder Sal DeCola, for introducing us to that program. And additionally, we joined the East Haven Chamber of Commerce for the East Haven annual tree lighting and the City of New Haven for their tree lighting ceremony. The turnout for both was high and certainly got everyone in the Christmas spirit. On December 12th, Michael Jones delivered one of the keynote addresses at the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce's Regional Economic Outlook Breakfast. And so he shared updates on our ongoing investments and expansion plans here at the airport, which were very well received by the region's business community. To close out our partnerships work, I wanted to extend my sincere thanks to Trevor and Margarita, two East Haven high school students who spent the past few months interning with us on the AvPorts team. Their participation was incredibly valuable, and we hope their time with us has provided some useful insights into possible career paths, whether in aviation or in other areas of their interest. On community meetings and outreach, as a follow-up to our last board meeting, on the launch of WebTrack. I'm excited to share that that dashboard is now live as of December 16th, and it's accessible on our website under the Community Resources section. WebTrack provides the community with access to real-time information on local aircraft activity, and with the addition of noise monitors, which will be rolling out over the next month, we will also be able to offer greater transparency around noise levels around the airport. Just also to contextualize this as far as the sort of broader efforts here on tracking noise. This is part of and sort of the start of a much longer and ongoing effort to build out a noise program here at the airport and lay the groundwork for an eventual FAA community roundtable, which will be the vehicle for members of the community to have a dialogue with the FAA on areas where possible mitigation measures can be put in place. On accessing that through the website as well, I just want to mention that I will be working with our website team to find ways that we could make all of that information more accessible and more upfront, so it will take less clicks for users to access that. So part of our overall effort to just make it more accessible. Otherwise, we continue to engage in productive group and one-on-one conversations with members of the community, and wanted to express the gratitude to the East Shore Community Management Team for
keeping the door open to us and to our participation. We have continued to regularly attend those meetings and made ourselves available to answer questions from members and board members alike. So that concludes my report, but wanted to end by wishing everybody a restful, happy holidays and happy new year. I'm looking forward to carrying the good work with all of you and the team here at the airport into 2025.
Thank you, Tom. Steve.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, Tom, I thought you were gonna address
Yes.
the FEMA thing.
Yes, and on the FEMA issue, so continue to look into the issue. The challenge becomes is that it's quite complicated, and really part of the objective for us here is to figure out exactly where that decision-making power sits. So just for context for everybody, the idea was there are people in the area who have put on home improvement measures that have disqualified them to the sound insulation program. And those home improvement measures were as part of their flood zone, improvements. And so the idea is to find a way, if there are any levers that we can utilize to, re-qualify them for that program. But because it's a federal program, it's just trying to track down exactly where that sits, and seeing if there are any tools in our tool belt to push on them. So we'll continue to keep you updated.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Mark. Any other questions for Tom C? All right, great. In your board packet is resolution 617, engagement of Carter English as issuer counsel dated December 18th, 2025. Regarding conduit financing phase 1. I would like to read it. It's important. I'd like to read it in its entirety due to its importance. So bear with me for a minute. So whereas the lease and development agreement between Tweed New Haven Airport Authority and New Haven HVN LLC authorizes the authority at the cost and expense of lessee to cooperate with lessee with regards to the documentation reasonably necessary to obtain, maintain, and replace financing for the performance of the obligation of the lessee hereunder. Whereas financing and construction of the East Terminal is an obligation of lessee under the agreement. Whereas lessee has requested the authority to investigate the feasibility of debt financing assistance by the authority and review the documentation of the transaction prepared by lessee's bond counsel. Whereas the authority has issued a request for proposal from firms that have experience in servicing as issuers counsel for the financing of public facilities. Whereas a number of high-quality proposals were submitted and the subcommittees of the board tasked by the chair of the board to make a selection, narrow the choices, and conducted interviews. Whereas the subcommittee has selected McCarter English a large law firm with an office in Connecticut and other states and many years of experience in public financing. Whereas the authority and McCarter English are finalizing an engagement agreement. Whereas the authority and lessee are finalizing an agreement that requires lessee to reimburse in a timely manner the authority for all costs and expenses incurred by the authority with regards to the work of the issuer's counsel. Whereas there are several preliminary issues related to debt financing of the east terminal that require a long lead time, and it is in the best interest of all concerned that the issuer's counsel work commence as soon as possible. Whereas work will not proceed beyond the capped figure of $15,000 for phase one without an executed amendment approved by the board covering phase 2 and 3. Now, therefore, the board of directors approves the engagement of McCarter English as described herein and authorizes the executive director to finalize the engagement agreement and finalize the reimbursement agreement with the lessee. Is there a motion to approve? David, second? Second, Serena, okay, any comments?
Do we have any idea who their lead partner will be on the file? Sue? Yeah,
The lead partner will be Roland Young.
okay, good.
Very good.
Think that's very positive.
And she is in Connecticut,
She's in New Haven.
in New Haven specifically.
That's right.
Okay. Any further
Robert, can I
comments?
just ask, make sure I understand? So in the end, when we get through this analysis, the plan will be that the airport authority will issue tax exempt bonds? Is that where we're heading with this? And then that airports will be handle the debt service on that over the long term under the agreement?
That's my understanding.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other comments? If there's a motion on the floor, it's been seconded. Let me ask for your vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opposed? That motion passes. Resolution is approved.
Back on mute.
All right, other business. Other business, seeing none. Felipe, open the portal, please. Public comments.
They're all on Christmas shopping.
They're in that I-91.
I
recognize that.
That's the answer.
Step up to the mic. State your name, address.
Good afternoon, Tony Laurenti, 23 Briar Lane. Just want to offer my input and experience getting the opportunity to fly out of New Haven not too long ago. What a pleasure it is, and just very simply,
When you say fly, as the pilot,
that is correct. Yeah.
just want to clarify.
So I made the noise, stage 4 to be exact. A real pleasure, a culmination personally, which we often hear about many distant and nefarious things related to an airport and corporation, but we're people. I grew up here, I have family here, I have friends here. This is a realization of something I never could have imagined. And frankly, I keep waiting for someone to come and tell me that it's just all make-believe. But we're people. I have a family, children. This airport, just to share a little bit of my story, This airport is literally responsible in the community that was responsible for the Tweed New Haven Air Fest is responsible for me getting my private pilot's license through a scholarship at the time, 30 years ago. And here I am today. Love aviation, love everywhere that I go, love airports, airplanes. Certainly Tweed New Haven Airport is going to be my favorite. Doesn't mean I'm blindly allegiant to it. Again, after all, I'm a pilot. My job is to complain about everything. But in my experience with something I enjoy, talking about the airport, I would recommend 3 meetings a month, if you ask me. I'm so aware of many things that go on behind the scenes that give me the opportunity to do my job and that of other crew members. And I'm very appreciative of it. I want to continue to be a partner in terms of information sharing, what we do, but by no means is it something of authority. I hope to bring the resources of the Airline Pilots Association and potentially my company to making this experience for everyone safe, efficient, and enjoyable, because we have something that's a lot of fun to be a part of. I encourage my children all the time, find something you love to do, get paid for it, and you'll never work a day in your life. So just, I won't tell that to the police.
30 seconds left.
This is a lot of fun. And just again, thank you very much. Sometimes I focus on particular names, but I don't mean to disrespect everybody else. It would be a long list to thank everybody. So I'm sure they spread the thanks. So thanks for giving me and my colleagues the opportunity to enjoy this airport. I look forward to the future. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. Happy holidays. No? Okay. Let's wait. Give it a minute or two. Does it work? Another minute. 45 seconds. Make sure we're clear.
Like an extended moment of silence.
I thought I was frozen. It's way too quiet.
It is. Felipe? Nothing. All right, so no one's in the queue. We've waited now 2 minutes. So I'm going to call it, say happy holidays, everyone. Shut it down, Felipe. No one's in the queue, so we're going to ask for motion to adjourn. Hey, Mike. Second by Serena. Happy holidays, everyone. See you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy New
Christmas.
Year.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Happy New Year.
Congratulations, Linda.
Happy New
on
Year,
your-
everybody.
Oh, thank you. Sorry for the noise. I had to unmute myself and say Merry Christmas to everyone. So
Merry Christmas.
thank you. Happy New Year.
Christmas,
Happy New Year. Stay away
Happy
from
Hanukkah
91
as
right
well. Take care, everybody.
now. Bye-bye,
Bye.
everyone. Great job.